Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to do our normal Monday Ramble. It is the 5th of April. We've got some previews again. There's going to be more releases next week, or at least more pre-orders next week. They seem to be picking up the pace again. We're back to weekly releases, and there's some interesting stuff in here. But once again, a sparse, dry week for Warhammer 40k. Did you manage to get hold of Cursed City? Because that went up for pre-order over the weekend. I was quite lucky. I did manage to get a copy. In fact, I've got two, one of which to give away, hopefully. I'm talking to Element about it, so that's hopefully a thing that we'll be able to do over the course of the next couple of weeks, be able to give away a copy of Cursed City, so that'll be fun. In terms of what we have today, as I say, sparse on the 40k front. We're talking warbands for Underworlds and Blood Bowl, but we're also going to do something a little bit different because we're going to talk about the Horus Heresy a little bit. So we'll just blast through what is on offer for pre-orders next weekend, and then we're going to have a little chat about the Horus Heresy because there's some interesting stuff happening there, which is by itself just an interesting thing because there's been very little happening for the Horus Heresy, and God knows it could do with some sort of injection of life from Games Workshop, but that injection may well be on its way. So let's have a quick look at what we've got here. So Sunday preview, Warbands, War Masters and Blood Bowl. So we've got the Warhammer Underworlds Crimson Court. These are going to be up for pre-order. I still really like them. You know I like them. We've talked about these a couple of times now. They are some really, really nice models. I like all of them. I will say the lad with the wings is my least favourite, but I would honestly say that it is an even tie between the other three as to like which one is my most favourite. So overall, as models go, there being one that I don't like quite as much as I absolutely love the others is not too bad. That's a pretty high win rate there. I will say that massive maul thing, it is ridiculous. It's so over the top. I feel like if you weren't an undead behemoth like that guy, you probably would struggle to lift it, but he's fine, because look at him. What an absolute lad. So yeah, we've got the Crimson Court. I really can't wait to get my hands on these. I don't even know that. I'm not even going to do anything with them. I'm just going to paint them. Probably nowhere near as well as they are on in this picture, but nonetheless, I'll give it a good go. So we've also got a new starter set as well for Warhammer Underworlds, which has got it's got some Nighthaunt and some Stormcast. These are like my least favourite Nighthaunt models, which is a shame. I just don't like the rat skulls. I don't know why. They just don't do anything for me. And I wouldn't say these are my least favourite Stormcast models. Those are reserved for the Evocators, is it? That have got like the really weird robes that kind of finish. They've got armour to the like halfway down the chest, but then the robe comes out from under the armour, and they look weird. These look okay, but for me, you just can't beat a Stormcast with a giant hammer or massive sword. That's just, personal preference there. But it looks like a decent starter set nonetheless. If you haven't got into Underworlds yet, then good to have another way in. Let's be honest, just multiple ways into any of the games is a plus. It's a nice thing to have. Again, cough cough, looking at you, Horus Heresy, with your total lack of starter set. And there's some fancy dice as well. I will say, most of these look fine. The speckled grey and black ones with the purple on, I think are a little... Some of the symbols are a little hard to read. They look a bit messy. There's something about the... I think it's because of the random nature of like the speckles on the dice. It makes some of the symbols almost look damaged and unclear. So I'm not entirely sure about that combination of colour and kind of the colour of the symbol. But minor complaint, and let's face it, they're still more usable than a lot of the like special edition dice that they've done in the past, so that's something. And the two warbands from the new starter set are going to be going into the online game as well, which I still haven't tried. I should give that a go. Why not? I should just download that and see what's what. We've also got more stuff for Adeptus Titanicus. There's a new loyalist battle group, although I'm pretty sure, can't you just do what you like and make them traitor if you want, in the form of this lot. That looks pretty solid to me. That looks pretty solid. That's quite fun. I do like that. Yeah, I if I was more into Adeptus Titanicus, I may well would have grabbed that, but I've done very little with the Titans that I do have, unfortunately. So there's also this lad as well, which is the War Master. Yeah, I think we've seen this guy before, haven't we? Still think the gun knee is a bit weird. I know it's a direct reference to the art that this is taken from, but it's just one knee having a gun it's weird even by 40k standards, let's be honest. Other than that, it is quite a cool Titan. Ugly as sin though. Really ugly. I mean, it's fine. It's allowed to be ugly. Sometimes you giant robots, they can be ugly and it's fine. But yeah, that is it's not a looker, is it? Good grief. Anyway, so yeah, new battle group for Adeptus Titanicus, and we also have more stuff for Blood Bowl. First ever supplement of the second season, which is Death Zone, the ultimate Blood Bowl companion. Then you've got your magazine for it as well, and these two are coming out as their own thing. So the Black Orc and Imperial Nobility teams are arriving for pre-order, so you don't have to get the box to get either one of them. Like the full starter set, you can buy them by themselves, so that's nice as well. There's also referees as well, which I really like. They're called the Elf and Dwarf Biased Referees. At least they're honest about it. Honest about the bias there. Those are fun models, though. I do like those. Massive book on that dwarf. Good lord. And then Black Library-wise, we've got Alfarius, Head of the Hydra. We've got The Lost and the Damned, which is part of the Siege of Terror series. A funky map. Very nice map, actually. I do like that. And a new audio book for Araman as well. And then you've got your usual array of things what you can watch, which, of course, nothing today, because holiday. Now, the Heresy. So, there's been a bunch of rumours and stuff floating around, and I've not said a huge amount about it because I've not been able to corroborate it. And something that I try very hard to do if I pass something on to you guys is have some vague inkling as to whether it's even true or not. There are exceptions to that. Sometimes I'll hand things over just in case, like, you find something that I've missed, or it turns out that actually that is something that has already been discussed that we've missed somehow. But the Horus Heresy stuff is super interesting because I've been sent loads and loads of not fully reliable bits of info. I'm going to say that straight away. This is definitely a take with a pinch of salt thing because I've sent this stuff to the people that I normally send rumours to ask if there's anything to it, and there has not been an outright denial. It's not a case of people going, oh no, it's absolutely nonsense, don't listen to it. It's just been more a case of I'm not sure. I just don't know enough about this particular instance to make a call one way or the other. But there's been an interesting kind of development with how Games Workshop internally categorises the Horus Heresy. So Leaky Cheese did a video on this, and it's worth watching that video because he goes into it in way more depth and detail than I'm about to. But essentially, every system that Games Workshop has got a product code, and then if you buy a box of something, it'll have I think it's 11-digit thing on it that shows a bunch of numbers, and the third set of 2 numbers is the game system that box is attached to, and Horus Heresy has always been lumped in with Warhammer 40k. So, for whatever reason, the entire range for the Horus Heresy has had the O1 product code, which is the one they use for Warhammer 40k, even though quite a bit of it is not usable or meant for 40k. Why that is the case, I don't know. I'm assuming that when it all started out, it was just lump it in there. It's all Space Marine stuff anyway, so we can use it in both systems, whatever. Although, as it grew and grew, I don't know why it wasn't separated before now. But now, a bunch of Horus Heresy stuff has been shifted into its own product code, which is product code 30. And this is something that a couple of people have pointed out to me, that there is a concerted effort on Games Workshop's end to essentially recategorize all of the models used for Horus Heresy into a separate product code than the one they use for Warhammer 40k. Now, this is all coinciding with a bunch of stuff about there being a new starter set and a new plastic range to essentially bring Horus Heresy into the same kind of space as Warhammer 40k and Age of Sigmar. Because when you look at things like the shareholders stuff that they put out their statements to the shareholders for everyone to read, and Horus Heresy is listed up there as a major game system alongside 40k and Age of Sigmar. But of course, Horus Heresy has seen nowhere near the same level of support as those two games for quite some time. There's been a very long delay between books. There's been like a really, really severe slowdown in model releases. Over the course of like the last year, we've barely seen anything for the Horus Heresy. There's no roadmap for the Horus Heresy. There's roadmaps for all the other specialist games. You know, they put out regular stuff for Aeronautica, for Underworlds, for Adeptus Titanicus, for Blood Bowl. They cover that stuff and they make sure that you know, hey, this is what to expect and when to expect it. Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40k they don't have roadmaps for necessarily, but that's because they don't need to. Those games are constantly supported, and they're constantly receiving new models, new updates, new rules, new codexes, new battle tomes, so on and so have you. However, Horus Heresy, despite being listed as like the third big un, is not really treated as the third big un. And it makes a lot of sense for them to actually part it out from the same code as Warhammer 40k, if they're going to do something with it, if they're going to try and push it forward, if they're going to try and bring it back and put more of a focus on it. And this happening around the time of all of these rumours kind of suddenly coalescing into new starter set, new plastic range, more support. Like, I find that very, very interesting. I do find that really interesting. Because there's nothing set in stone. There's nothing to say it 100% will happen. It would be nice if it did. Because to this day, we've talked about this before. I don't even know when there was a video. When did I make that video? We did a video talking about the fact there's no starter set for the Horus Heresy and how nonsensical that is, about how you need something like that to be able to get into a game like that, because it is chiefly Forge World and it is expensive as a result. If you don't have a quick, easy route in, an economical route in, it's going to put a lot of people off from trying it. And we know that, like, Betrayal at Calth and Burning of Prospero, they were massively popular boxes. They did absurdly well. So not releasing another one, it just makes no sense. And all of this stuff happening, all of the Horus Heresy stuff being shifted into its own little category, like internally at Games Workshop, talk of a new kind of updated edition and a new starter set, it kind of feels like it's all coming together to be something of a relaunch, to give more focus to the game and to push it a lot harder than Games Workshop have pushed it for quite some time at this point. I've had so much stuff about it, but as I say, I can't have any of it corroborated. I've not had anything specifically saying yes or anything specifically saying no. This seems to be one of those situations where if this is the case, if the Horus Heresy is about to have something of a revitalisation, they're keeping it pretty heavily under wraps. And the only clues are things like the product code shift, which, people have noticed. Like, as I say, go and watch Leaky's video. I'll put the link to it in the description because it explains it very well and goes through it in detail, so you'll know exactly what's going on. But it just feels like something that's so needed at this point. It really does. It's for the size of that endeavour, for the amount of models, for the number of kits and the amount of effort and the number of books and the rules that have been written and all of the time and development that's gone into the Horus Heresy, for it to have just been kind of languishing around, not really being pushed in any way for so long. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, and it's incredibly frustrating because it is one of those things where I'm sure people who are not currently invested would find it a lot easier and a lot more palatable to get involved in that game if they were provided with an easier way in, if they were given the choice of, hey, you could, those two boxes that we did before that were very, very popular and really good and served as a great gateway to this game, well, we're going to do another one because it would be stupid not to. It just baffles me that it's been so long without one. It's been so long without one, and I couldn't even tell you why. Genuinely couldn't tell you why. Because it's not like a bunch of stuff has vanished from Forge World. Well, that's not true. A bunch of stuff has vanished from Forge World, but in terms of the vehicles you need, for the most part, they're all still there. Things have been going kind of unavailable and then coming back with their product code changed. There's got to be something, right? There's got to be something soon, because they can't just leave it indefinitely. They can't just release, 2 kits a year and be like, it's fine, it's doing alright. We'll mention it in the same sentence as Age of Sigmar and 40k, but we just won't, develop it or push it any further. You can't do that indefinitely. It's going to start making no sense to do that. So, yeah, I really hope they do actually give it a push. Revitalise it. Bring out a starter set. Update it, and just make it what it's supposed to be, or what it feels like it should be, which is actually the third major system that features, heavily and has a lot of support, as opposed to the red-headed stepchild that occasionally just something comes out and they're like, there you go, right, now forget about that for the next 6 months, because we're not going to show it off again. Just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that's kind of where we are Horus Heresy wise. If I do hear anything concrete, or if I do see or receive anything concrete, then I will of course let you know. There are a few people who haven't got back to me yet, just because, well, they haven't got back to me yet. So I don't know. Maybe there'll be something from that. I'm not sure. We will find out in due course, I have no doubt. God, that's gone on for way longer than I expected it to. Is there anything that you saw for the previews that you're planning on picking up? If you did manage to get Curse City, then I'm happy for you, because you clearly wanted it. If not, I'm just assuming that it's going to have another run, that it's not just going to have been this lot and then no more. Blackstone Fortress is available for years, so I'm sure it'll show up again, hopefully. It better do, come on. It's just a license to print money. Just do it. Do it, you cowards. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling now. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click it if you don't want to. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description down below for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you would like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.